know what? Someone decided to have to donate some money, and we've chosen your daughter or your son to be one of the people who are going to benefit the whole year for this school fees. I can't say enough. I cannot say enough. So he will take care of you just differently than what you anticipate. But now this is where you're tested to sit in obedience and to sit in trusting God fully. Like, submerge yourself in the trust. Like, someone used to tell me this, and I never forget. Someone told me this a long time ago. They used to tell me, I used to see them watch football every time and watch football, and then they will bang the table. You know the way people get excited about watching football, right? So he will be like banging the table, and like, I can't believe this team is losing. And I used to say, see, I think I can see the minutes. Like, it's like 15 minutes to the game is over. Okay, so I used to I kept saying that, like, this game is done. Like, why are you still standing up, or you're still watching? And then he used to tell me, like, let me tell you, if there's something that you need to be examined, is football. Do you know why? Because football, not unless the whistle is blown, it is not over until it's over. Like, so that thing stayed in my mind. Like, until it's over, it's not over. So can you imagine, most people or most teams score in the last seconds of the football match. Like, they have struggled to score, nothing has happened, and the last minute, out of nowhere, the last, I don't know, 10 seconds to the game is over, before even the referee blows the whistle, it's a goal. And they were 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-2, and now someone has emerged a winner because of the last minute. That's what I'm trying to drive. Like, it's not done until it's done. So that in this other side of wilderness, how God takes care of you probably is not the same way as the way God used to take care of you when you're in Egypt. But in either way, he's still taking care of you. So you can just sit and believe and trust that the rent will be paid. How? You don't care? How? Let me tell you, I'm not saying now this is the place where you become lazy. No, I'm not saying you become lazy. But somehow, in you learning how to trust God, that me following through with this plan might mean some things are going to be shaken, moved around, but still he's still going to be glorified in this process of me trusting him. So something else I've also learned is that I've said the place of wilderness, God will only provide enough for the day, and you have to learn to trust in him for tomorrow. Okay, and that is in the book of Exodus chapter 16 verse 18 to 19. Please go and read that. He provided for them, just not the way they used to be provided in the house of in Egypt, right? In the place of wilderness is where God is going to give you commandments that are going to help you cross on the other side. So there's what you've left behind. So you want here, this is where you're being molded. Okay, this is where you're shedding off what you used to know. This is where you're being made a new being, right? So for you to be able to survive and for you to be able to cross in the land of Canaan, there are some commandments that you have to follow, and this is where God is going to give you commandments in the land in the wilderness, right? Because this is where God gave commandments to the children of Israel. This is where he gave the 10 commandments of, not unless you obey these things, you cannot cross to the other side. Yeah. And let me tell you, when I was reading it even through and through, I was just wondering, so the people who never obeyed, did they even cross to the land of Canaan? Not because everybody obeyed, but it took them longer because they kept disobeying God, and it's not like God will not take you across eventually, but it takes you now. This is now where you feel like now you're in a hamster wheel. You keep going round and round and round. So I feel like if you obey, your crossing becomes faster than you having to stay, because eventually he's a merciful God. He's gonna still, I think he loves his kids. Either I feel like God is the most merciful person, but also there's a side of God that people never want to talk about, right? So his mercifulness might let you cross the other side, right? Let's be realistic, okay? But this is where now the place where this is now my feeling. The faster you can, the faster you learn these things, the faster you listen to what God has for you, the faster you obey the commandments that govern His sending, the faster you're going to get to the other side. So when you go through everyone is capable of getting to the heights that they want to get to. Like everybody is capable. Everyone is able to achieve great heights, to ascend to the levels that they always crave to. But because the wilderness is such a harsh place, the discipline that will be required for you to be a different person, it's what makes people want to go back to Egypt, because it's very comfortable there. It's what you have been used to for the last 10 years. It's what you've known for the last I don't know how many years. So it's easy for you to ask God to deliver you, because now you're setting your end of year goals. It's so easy, and you're just saying 2025 is the year. It's the year that I achieve great heights, right? But the test will be in your wilderness. And in most cases, people prefer to stay in their comfort, what they have known, right? And let me tell you, I was trying to think about Egypt in our day-to-day life, okay? I feel like, for me, like, this is just an example of what I feel like Egypt is. Egypt is comfort food. Like, you keep slipping back to your comfort food. You say, I'm not going to, this is not good for my health, but you keep slipping back to your comfort food. That's Egypt, because it's good. It tastes good. You enjoy it, right? And I don't have an issue around food generally. Like, I feel like you can eat anything as long as you're able to manage what you consume, right? That's to each their own, right? I feel like Egypt is where there's alcohol, there's drugs, there's all those things that make us, there's everything that is good according to the society. Like, this is where things happen, all those things that you can think about right now. I feel like that is Egypt. So you decide, I'm going to leave Egypt, meaning those things, alcohol, infidelity, you're going to leave drugs, you're going to leave comfort, just refusing to try even something new. Comfort in sense of, I'm so used to this thing, so I don't want to leave it, right? I feel most people refuse to live there because, you see, number one, it's a very enticing place to be. Wilderness requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires for you to get out of your comfort zone. It requires for you to move yourself from what you're used to what you're not used to, and to also be okay in this discomfort, like this discomfort of there is no light, it's so dark, it's so lonely, it's so I don't know where my next food is going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to pay school fees for my kids. That's such a wilderness, okay? So because we are not so used to this wilderness, most people want to move from Egypt, they come to wilderness and they go back to Egypt. That's what I feel, honestly. I feel like most of us keep going back to Egypt, wilderness, Egypt, wilderness, Egypt. You say, I'm never going to drink again. You slip back to, you go back to wilderness. You take a few months without drinking, and then back to the wilderness, to the land of Egypt, because alcohol is good. You say, I'm not going to be in these relationships that are whatever they are. You come to wilderness, you say, I'm going to stay like this, and then all of a sudden you feel like this is such a lonely place, it's such a dark place. You slip back to Egypt because that's what you're comfortable of, okay? So a few people are only able to cross the promised land just for that reason alone, because the discipline that will be required for you in the wilderness, the consistency that will be required of you, the shift of mindset, the being able to just even leave things that you're used to, leave friends, disconnect from things that you felt that were comfortable, things that were, but they were not working for you, but for you, you think they are comfortable and you will better stay in that comfort. For you to stay in this place, okay? And that's what people say in most cases, that in a lot of situation, when God wants to take you something, He isolates you, because He knows, if I leave this, isolation is your wilderness. It's a season where you feel like you are alone, you don't know, because He has to keep you in this place where he will give you instruction. He has to keep you in this place where you have to shade yourself from the things that you're used to, your slavery mentality. This is the place. So he's working on you. This is where you lose friends. This is where your family desert you. This is where you don't know if you're going in front or going backwards. This is the place where you feel there's no progress, because it's such a dark space for you. It's a transitional from what you used to know, what you're used to where you're going. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. My final thought is human nature. Even after experiencing God, this is our human nature. Even after experiencing God, miracle, human are prone to forgetfulness. You forget that God has taken you from far. You become rebellious, and also you compromise, right? So even after God has taken you through what he has taken you to, we still end up being just rebellious. We want to compromise. This is now you're tested about being compromising in the things that you want to win off from Egypt, okay? Also, I feel like the most important thing is for us to understand that God is very patient, because he will be patient with you, but it doesn't mean that you will going to progress. He's just going to wait for you to learn that lesson. This is my thought process. Like, I feel like God is so merciful, but there's a side of God that we refuse to see. He's going to be merciful and he's going to be patient with you, to take your time, to unlearn that bad behavior, to let go of that bad habit, to do what you need to do. But there will not be any progress, because he will keep you in that perpetual pain of just learning and learning until you get to a place where you say, I am done. I'm not going to be in this vicious cycle of going back, going back, until you make a decision. I feel like God is just gonna wait for you to make the decision. He's gonna be patient. He's a patient God, but he's not going to cross you over until you're able to learn the things that you need to learn. And that's why you see, I feel like this is, let me tell you guys, this is my how I understand the Bible. I know most people understand Bible differently. I feel like we cannot all understand the Bible the same way. So this is my own understanding of the Bible, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like sometimes you wonder, why is that person has been stuck in that place for so long. Like you can have that mental registry, like they have been stuck for that long. I feel like this, even you in your own life, you feel like there's a place in your life where you're so stuck. So me, I feel like God is so patient with you to just let you stay there until you learn the things that you need to learn. Because not unless you learn the things that you need to learn, what he's not bringing forth in your life is because it still feels like you're still a toddler. You're still not getting what he wants you to get. He still feels like, until you grow up, I'm not going to bring for you this thing. Because it's like giving a child a car to drive. They will not know how to drive that car. It's not like, I don't feel like he's putting you in that pain because he's punishing you. It's just that he feels like, my daughter, until you grow up, I'm not going to give you these things just for the sake that you will not be able to handle this thing. The way I'm saying, can you give your 8-year-old child a car? No, you can't. You wait for them to grow up, get a driving license, and then you give them the car, right? So I feel like that's what God does. He's just waiting for you to grow up. And growing up in that season is where you're growing up, you're working on your mindset, you're working on the things that you know you need to work on, so that you can experience the things that God has for you fully, right? You understand? And let me tell you, this is what I'm saying. Guys, this is what I'm saying. When you're being in the wilderness, God is not going to make you suffer. You see the way he was providing for the children of Israel manna, day-to-day manna. He was providing the children of Israel food day in, day out. He used to provide for them water. He's not going to still make you to suffer that suffering. It's just you will never experience the fullness of God, the fullness of what he's capable of bringing into your life until you decide to grow up in your wilderness. That's what I'm thinking, like, because he's still a merciful God, because he still loves you as his child, because he's just working on you, allowing you to work on yourself. He's allowing you to shed these things. He's allowing you to come to your own realization that this is not working anymore. But he's just gonna provide for you day to day. He's gonna provide to you day to day, so that you're not going to lack food. God does not, he can't maliciously make you suffer in that sense of just making you suffer. But You're not going to experience the fullness of God in terms of fullness. Like where they say the land of Canaan is where there's milk and honey. So he's going to provide for you manna. You know, manna was like unleavened, it was like bread, dry bread. So you're going to have dry bread, but there's milk and honey on the other side. But you cannot experience milk and honey on the other side, not unless you learn what you need to learn in your wilderness. So, and before I get carried away, so this is what I'm going to say. Obedience matter, guys. Blessing promised to Israel, the blessing promised to the children of Israel were tied to their obedience to God in the wilderness, in the book of Deuteronomy, guys. So your blessings are tied to how you're going to behave in the wilderness. I feel like, you see, now you think about wilderness in terms of material. I feel like that's just not the whole story. Wilderness is a lot of your internal work. It's not the material aspect of getting the things that you want to get is just a bonus of the things, manifestation of the things, the person you become. It's a manifestation of who you become. Not so if you don't work on yourself, the becoming will not, you not get these things as by the way of becoming a better person, right? So let me tell you something. Let me give you an example. So when you're moving from, for me, this is what I feel. When you're moving from Egypt, and Egypt we talked about, this is just an example of how I understand the Bible. So when you're moving from Egypt to the promised land, there are things that I feel like this is what we call traumas, we call things that we have carried with us for so long, and God wants to work on us. So something I was trying to reflect on about this wilderness, I realized for myself, because I'm just going to use my own example. In my wilderness, in the place of wilderness, what I came to realize for myself is God wanted me to rest, right? Rest in the terms of, I am those people who keep, like, like if I was to give you my mind, I don't think you're going to survive. My mind is always working, like overworking itself, okay? So I felt like in a place of wilderness, God called me to rest. But let me tell you, you know, there I can say rest, you think it's an easy thing. I was trauma bonded to not resting. I have never known what is to rest. My trauma has been, if you even sit like this, you feel like poverty is going to come to you. Like we used to be told, like if you just stay, if you rest, you're going to experience poverty that you've never experienced in your life. So for me, rest is associated with being lazy. Rest is associated with you're not thinking. Rest is associated with traumas of you must be doing something, you must be going somewhere, you have to be doing this. So for me to just take a step back and just rest was a trauma response of what has been downloaded over the years of you have to be doing that, you have to be here, you can't be seen rested, you can't just say I'm not doing anything. If you call me and say what are you doing, I have to say I'm doing something. Like I can't say I'm just chilling, like I'm not doing anything, I'm not doing little anything. But because I've been trained and I'm traumatized, my trauma response is to always be busy. I feel like I have to keep saying I'm doing something. I'm doing, even when I'm not doing anything, right? So when you're called to a season of rest, you think it's an easy thing, but because you're used to not resting, the rest will require a certain muscle of just, you want to go, but you bring the muscle of just allowing yourself to just be still and rest is on another level. So when I tell you wilderness is not just about manifesting things, even the things that you've grown knowing, this is where you're going to shed off those things. So for me to just learn how to just, I want to go, I want to do, I want to keep doing. And just, so I have to teach myself to just allow things to just be. Like I can't be always in control, okay? Especially, you know, those trauma response, like if, for example, you're a first-born child, you feel like you have to be someone who is always taking care of everything else, everybody else. That's a trauma response. It's not your place to take care of everybody else and to to run yourself to the ground because you're taking care of everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? So this is where you learn how to differentiate between help and enabling behaviors. Like you learn where to draw the line to preserve you and to protect yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So this is where you work on yourself to understand things about you that have not been helpful so far in your life. Okay, so that was my example. You not doing anything is okay, as long as you're cautious about it and you're not doing it from a lazy perspective. You taking a day off to just rest is okay, without feeling like you have to always be chasing something, running after something, be doing something for someone, for something, like you're always doing something for people. Even I feel like, especially us who have those trauma response of just doing, you feel like you have to do this, do that, I don't know, achieve this, achieve that. So to learn to just be still is also to remove that mindset of I have to always be rushing after something, to work on my mindset that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to be still and just let things fall in place. Like you don't have to be the one participating for things to fall in place. It's okay for you to sit back and just see things. If they need to fall out or in place, you don't have to have a hand in always making sure everything is working accordingly. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. This is my example of just a season of just, you want to, but you're pull back, like stay back. It doesn't have to always be you to do it. You don't have to be rushing doing something, okay?